Motte and Bailey Castle. One of the earliest castle designs in medieval Europe used a simple but effective layout. A large mound of earth called the Motte held a wooden tower or keep at the top, giving defenders a high position to watch the surrounding land. From this elevated point, guards could spot approaching enemies long before they reached the settlement. At the base of the mound sat the bailey, an enclosed courtyard surrounded by a wooden fence known as a palisade. Inside the bailey were homes for soldiers, storage buildings, workshops, and sometimes small farms to support daily life. A ditch or moat was often dug around the outer fence to slow attackers. Motte and bailey castles could be built quickly using wood and earth, which made them extremely useful during times of conquest. After the Norman invasion of England in 1066, hundreds of these castles appeared across the countryside to secure control over newly captured territory. Stone Keep Castle. As time passed, the weaknesses of wooden fortifications became clear. Wood could burn easily and rot over the years, making castles less reliable in long conflicts. Builders began replacing the central wooden tower with a massive structure made of stone. The stone keep became the heart of the castle and was designed to withstand heavy attacks. Its walls were often several meters thick, and narrow windows prevented arrows or weapons from easily entering. Inside the keep were multiple levels containing living spaces, food storage, weapon rooms, and sometimes a chapel for religious services. The top floors served as lookout points where guards could monitor the land in every direction. If enemies managed to break through the outer walls, defenders could retreat into the keep and continue resisting from within. Because of their strength and height, stone keeps became powerful symbols of authority and control across medieval Europe. Concentric Castle. Over time, castle builders developed more advanced defensive designs to handle increasingly powerful siege weapons. The concentric castle became one of the most sophisticated layouts ever created. Instead of relying on a single protective wall, these castles had multiple rings of walls built one inside another. The outer wall formed the first line of defense, while a taller inner wall rose behind it. This design allowed defenders on the higher walls to fire arrows or drop projectiles onto attackers trapped between the layers. Towers were placed along each wall to give defenders clear views of every angle. Gates were heavily reinforced and often protected by drawbridges and portcullises. The result was a fortress where each layer supported the next. Even if attackers broke through the outer defenses, they still had to fight their way through additional walls under constant attack from above. Hilltop Castle. Geography played an important role in many castle designs, and hilltop castles took full advantage of natural elevation. By building on high ground, defenders gained a strong strategic advantage. Steep slopes made it difficult for attackers to approach the walls with heavy equipment such as siege towers or battering rams. The height also gave defenders a wide view of the surrounding landscape, allowing them to see approaching armies hours or even days before they arrived. Supplies and reinforcements could be prepared well in advance. Hilltop castles often followed the natural shape of the land, with walls and towers built along the edges of cliffs or ridges. In many regions of Europe, these castles dominate the countryside, serving as both defensive strongholds and clear reminders of who controlled the territory. Water Castle. In areas where hills were not available, water itself became a powerful defensive tool. Water castles were surrounded by rivers, lakes, or wide moats that created a barrier between the castle and the outside world. This water made it extremely difficult for attackers to bring large siege machines close to the walls. Without solid ground nearby, battering rams and towers could not be positioned effectively. The only reliable way inside was usually a narrow bridge leading to the main gate. Many castles used drawbridges that could be raised when danger approached, cutting off access completely. Water castles were especially common in low flat regions such as parts of the Netherlands and northern Germany. In these landscapes, the surrounding water provided protection that natural hills could not offer. Desert Castle. Far from the forests and hills of Europe, castles also appeared in the deserts of the Middle East and North Africa. These structures served a different purpose from traditional medieval fortresses. Desert castles were often built near oases or along major caravan routes that merchants used to travel across vast stretches of dry land. Controlling these locations meant controlling trade, water supplies, and safe resting points for travelers. The architecture reflected the harsh environment. Thick stone walls helped keep the interior cool during the intense daytime heat and protected inhabitants from desert winds. Some desert castles functioned as military outposts where soldiers guarded valuable routes, while others acted as gathering places for rulers who governed the surrounding region. Japanese castle. Castles in Japan developed with a very different appearance and purpose compared to European fortresses. Instead of heavy stone towers dominating the skyline, Japanese castles often featured tall wooden structures with elegant curved roofs and multiple levels. The central tower, known as the Tenshu, served as both a lookout and a symbol of the ruling lord's power. Beneath these wooden buildings were strong stone foundations designed to resist earthquakes and attacks. Wide moats, massive gates, and carefully planned walls created layers of defense around the castle grounds. Inside the walls were entire communities, including soldiers' homes, gardens, and administrative buildings. Japanese castles became especially important during the feudal era when powerful warlords competed for control across the country. Star Fort Castle. The introduction of gunpowder and powerful cannons eventually changed castle design completely. High medieval walls were no longer strong enough to resist repeated cannon fire. In response, military engineers developed the Star Fort. Instead of tall vertical walls, Star Forts used lower, thicker walls made of packed earth and stone that could absorb the impact of cannonballs. The walls were arranged in a star-shaped pattern with pointed bastions extending outward. These angles allowed defenders to fire along the sides of the walls, removing blind spots where enemies could hide. Ditches and open ground surrounded the fortress, making it difficult for attackers to approach without being exposed. Although different from earlier castles, star forts represented the next stage in the long evolution of defensive architecture.